As many of you know, we've been doing this thing called Get Help, Give Help for a while now. It's our way of responding and following God in being responsive and bringing the good news of God's love to other people through our actions. And so many of you have been involved in giving help, and some of you have received that help. I just want to tell you a story about some of the ways that we've been able to do that. About 120 Daybreakers are involved already, and they're making phone calls, and they're sending encouraging emails, and they're running errands for people. But there's one story that stands out this morning. And we had a young lady, a single mom, who came our way, came across our path, and we've been able to give her some help this past week. And it came from one of our Daybreak families when we gave it out to them. And we gave it out to them because the mom at Daybreak, and I've known her for a long time, she knows what it was like to be a single mom. She lived out that story. And so she stepped into this, and she was just like with passion. She was like, man, I know what it's like. And so the single mom came to us, and she had been making it for a while, and then some things, unforeseen circumstances came her way, some things kind of the wheels fell off, and then COVID-19 came, and she lost her income, and so now she's got no local support, no family support. She's got no income. She's got no job. Her car is failing. There's no stove to cook on. There's a lack of groceries, and she was in a desperate situation. And we were so glad to reach out. But this single mom, or this mom at Daybreak who used to be single, her and her family stepped in, and they said, "Listen, we want to help." And so she told me the story. She said, listen, I think when we stepped in at first, it was like, hey, maybe they'll get me some of these things on the list. But they looked at the list. They're like, oh, we can provide all of that. Let's make sure she has everything that she needs. And then they delivered some of those groceries, and they saw some other needs. And they said, can we step in and help with that too? We're really excited about helping with that too. And then our Give Helps team stepped in and provided for a car as well. And just so many miracles, so many ways that God had provided. And so they followed up with her and just said, listen, can we just tell some of your story, just in an encouraging way to let people know that God is at work? That we had a God sign this week, and that single mom looked back at us and said, please tell the story, because this was my miracle. This was the miracle I needed, and you all showed up, and you were part of that miracle. And she just wanted to encourage us to stay part of that miracle. God shows up in our life all the time when we're looking for it. And sometimes when we need it most is when we lean into it. Jesus didn't come to condemn, but to save. I think that single mom experienced some Jesus saving. That's the gospel. So Daybreak, let's keep living out the gospel. Listen, why I told you that story this morning? It was for this reason. Some of you out this morning, and you really need help. You're watching this morning, and you're like, I'm feeling some of that desperation. And I just want to encourage you, go out to gethelp.db.church. We want to help. We want to be Christ's love to you. We want to demonstrate that. Some of you are hearing that story this morning, and you're imagining the possibilities for what God could do through you, through your servant's heart. And so you want to go out this morning, go to givehelp.db.church. We'll help you help. We want God to use you too. Here's what I love about that story. It just proves to my heart again that God's not done yet. God's not done loving us. God's not done loving through us and demonstrating his love through us. And it reminds me of the words of the Apostle Paul as he spoke about all of Christ's love. And he said in Romans 8, he said, listen, when God is for us, who can be against us? He didn't even spare his son from us. He said, can anything separate us from Christ's love? Does it mean that God doesn't love us when we experience calamity, or when we're persecuted, or when we're hungry, or when we're destitute, or when we're threatened, even with death? Paul says no. And he experienced those things. He said, I am convinced that nothing can separate us from the love of Christ, neither life nor death, angels nor demons, neither fears today or worries for tomorrow. Not even the powers of hell can keep us from God's love.